So with all of that, let's continue our coverage here tonight by taking your insurance questions, and concerns directly to state leaders. And recently, our Nadine Yada has sat down with Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis, who oversees the market here in Florida. And Nadine, this is becoming an even more important issue as we get closer to hurricane season. A lot of people looking over their shoulders right now.
And it's on a lot of people's mind, Paul. This is actually part 2 of my conversation with CFO Patronis, which again was entirely led by questions from our viewers. This was a chance to make sure that he was listening to your concerns and gave answers to your questions. And tonight's topic, the rising rates that have impacted everyone. More importantly, what can be done to bring them down. Being in charge of insurance, a lot of people have their eyes on you right now. So the consumers have been telling us it doesn't look like their rates are going down.
Just in 5 years, my insurance has gone up from $2,460 to my most recent of $4,550.
Florida CFO Jimmy Patronis listened to how you are struggling to afford your home insurance. This is Dira. Like Carrollwood resident Dira Eads, who sells handmade macrame on the side to make ends meet.
So I don't know how to stop them.
And she had this question for state leaders.
I understand that we're in Florida and there's a lot of loss possibly, but man, there has to be some sort of a cap.
Can we have insurance caps?
You cannot have insurance caps. If you put insurance caps, then companies there will be limited amount of coverage you can get. I wish I could snap fingers and say we have caps, but if you don't allow an insurance company to write anymore, then you're really going to have problems, because then there will be no insurance available. Now, there's a cap how much profit they can make. We say insurance companies, you can make 5%. Okay, that's the cap.
Yeah,
that's cap. But no one remind people that gallon of milk costs twice as much as it did 3 years ago. So you can't build something on 2017 prices anymore. Everything costs more, including the cost of construction. That's another reason why your premiums cost so much more.
Well, this viewer feels like it's quite literally price gouging. Why are insurance companies allowed to price gouge?
I get that.
You're saying it's not price gouging?
It's inflation that Washington does zero about. I hope you'll say that part, because Washington hasn't done squat about the inflation crisis.
We also talked about rising flood insurance rates. Citizens is now requiring flood for all policyholders by 2027, impacting Jane Potts Morgan. The flood insurance for mobile home right now is literally doubling her insurance premium.
Any possibility that he could ask for extra funding or do something to help subsidize some of this flood insurance for mobile homeowners. Do whatever you can to help us that can't help ourselves.
So a couple things also that happened legislatively is we told people, hey, if you're going to get citizens insurance, you're going to have to get flood insurance also. That became a huge cost driver. It sounds like the responsible thing to do, but in the case like this woman here, it's breaking her. But then what you had with Hurricane Ian, you had 1,000-year water events in Central Florida that had never seen flooding like that ever before.
And that's why Citizens is requiring flood, no matter what.
Yeah, and look, that's up for debate. That's a tough expense.
If you're not in a flood zone.
But like I said, you go talk to people in Orlando. They've never, people lost everything and they had nowhere to turn.
And that's why we call it The Price of Paradise. Very informative, Nadine. And there's more to come on this series, too. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. So every Wednesday leading up to hurricane season, I'm making sure that your questions are heard and answered by our leaders. So next week, we're going to talk about the My Safe Florida Home program. This was something a lot of people had some strong opinions about and a lot of questions. It was difficult to navigate. So that will come up next week.
It's really powerful when you bring those questions that people have directly to the person in charge.
Yeah, it was led by them.
Yeah, Nadine, thank you. Appreciate it. Also, if you have any of you out there want to check Nadine's previous stories on this, she's been on the beat for months now. All of those stories on our website, abcactionnews.com/insurance. You can either scan that QR code up on the screen or just go directly to the site through your browser. This is also where you're able to share your thoughts, your questions, and story ideas with our team. Wendy.